My name is Katie, and I've always been the spark that ignites the celebration, especially when it comes to dancing. There's something enchanting about the way music and movement come together, crafting a realm where each step unfolds a narrative. In the vibrant core of our lively city, I operate a quaint dance studio where I guide students through the graceful movements of ballet and the energetic rhythms of hip hop. It serves as my refuge, my getaway, and my source of sustenance. In my class, the atmosphere buzzes with the joy of tiny tots and tutus, and adults finding comfort in salsa, creating a vibrant tapestry of laughter, energy, and the occasional stumble. My husband Benjamin is a software developer frequently immersed in his projects, yet consistently encouraging of my enthusiasm. He embodies the serenity that balances my tumult, the stillness that tempers my whirlwind. We've crafted a narrative together that from the outside appears as a flawless performance, each step harmonized, every gesture foreseen. In our home, we have the pleasure of sharing our lives with Duke, our devoted and spirited German Shepherd, who has been a part of our family since his puppy days. Duke, with his endless enthusiasm, has been our steadfast friend, quietly observing the ebb and flow of our lives. Life seemed perfect, or at least that's what I believed until one fateful evening when the ordinary rhythm of our days shifted into something unforeseen. On a Thursday, an ordinary day unfolded. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the city in hues of gold and casting elongated shadows that danced through our living room windows. In the dim light of his office, Benjamin toiled away, a lone figure, battling the relentless tide of code and looming deadlines, surrounded by the silence of his own making. After completing a challenging session with my advanced ballet class, my body felt the strain, yet my spirit was uplifted by the elegance of their performance. I thought it would be a delightful idea to treat Benjamin to dinner, a little something we hadn't enjoyed together in quite some time. The kitchen was alive with the enticing scent of garlic and rosemary, the sizzling sound of steak cooking in the pan, and the anticipation of a peaceful evening spent together. Duke, feeling the shift in his usual surroundings, exhibited an uncommon restlessness, moving to and fro, his tail wagging with a fervor that hinted at a touch of anxiety. While I arranged the table, my phone vibrated with a message from Benjamin saying he was running late and not to wait for him. As a wave of disappointment surged within me, I set it aside, redirecting my attention to the meal before me. I replied, "No problem at all. I'll make sure it's nice and cozy for you." As darkness enveloped the world outside, the vibrant city gradually settled into a serene stillness, the familiar clamor of daily life fading into a gentle whisper. As I sat at the table, solitude enveloped me, with Duke beside me, his head gently resting on my lap, his eyes brimming with unvoiced inquiries. The meal lost its warmth. The flames danced in the dim light, and my thoughts drifted away. Suddenly, something unforeseen took place. Duke's ears twitched with excitement as he sprinted to the front door, barking with a fervor that was unlike him. I trailed behind him, curiosity swirling within me. The door stood firm, yet Duke's actions hinted at the presence of another soul within. I gazed through the peephole, anticipating the familiar face of a neighbor or the arrival of a package, yet found only emptiness on the other side. As I turned back to the living room, my gaze fell upon Benjamin's laptop, carelessly left open on the coffee table, inviting curiosity. A message from someone named Ye appeared on the screen, catching the eye with a sudden blink. My heart raced as I drew near, a mix of wonder and hesitation swirling within me. The sentiment was clear, eagerly anticipating our next meeting. My world, once a steady journey through familiar paths, suddenly seemed to veer into uncharted territory. The familiar cadence of existence had unexpectedly shifted into an uncharted melody, one I never saw coming, one that held the potential to transform everything. But what unfolds when the familiar cadence of existence ventures into an uncharted melody? It began just like any other day. As the morning light filtered through the windows, Benjamin set off for work, leaving me in the company of Duke and the serene stillness that enveloped our home. My day at the studio was packed, but then out of the blue, a cancellation opened up an unexpected afternoon of freedom. Choosing to make the most of my time, I ventured to the office to dive into some administrative tasks. Duke, as always, was by my side, his tail wagging with the excitement of an unexpected journey. In the studio, a tranquil ambiance enveloped the space, punctuated only by the gentle hum of the air conditioning and the occasional playful bark from Duke, adding a touch of life to the serene setting. I nestled into my office, a quaint little nook with a big window that framed the bustling city beyond. The paperwork was tedious, yet it was a necessary task to complete. Duke rested at my feet, his gentle heat a soothing presence in the chilly office. As I sorted through invoices and schedules, my thoughts wandered back to the events of last night. The message from Elle on Benjamin's laptop lingered in my mind, weaving a tale I couldn't shake off. Who was this individual, and what brought Benjamin to this encounter? Thoughts danced around in my mind, each one more disquieting than the previous. As I attempted to concentrate on my tasks, an unsettling presence lingered, enveloping my mind like a dark cloud. As the stillness enveloped the room, a sudden buzz from the phone on my desk shattered the calm. A message arrived from Benjamin. "Hey, can we have a chat when I get back home tonight?" My heart felt heavy. This wasn't merely a straightforward ask. It felt like the beginning of something profound, something that could change the trajectory of our existence. I responded with a quiet affirmation, my fingers quivering just a bit as I crafted the message. Duke, perceiving my unease, gently pressed his head into my lap, his eyes brimming with empathy. As I ran my fingers through his soft fur, a sense of comfort washed over me, a gentle reminder of the stories we shared in silence. The studio, once a vibrant canvas of imagination, now resembled a scene from a play I never auditioned for, filled with unexpected twists and turns. The afternoon lingered, every minute unfolding like a tale that seemed to last forever. I endeavored to lose myself in the task at hand, yet my mind was a ceaseless wave drawing me back to the enigma of Elle and the possible discoveries that lay in wait for me at home. As I made my choice to depart, the sun started its graceful descent, painting the city with elongated shadows. Duke and I strolled back to our car, the atmosphere heavy with the promise of unfolding tales ahead. The journey back was quiet, punctuated only by the gentle purr of the engine and Duke's sporadic whimper, as though he sensed the unease that lingered around us. Upon returning home, I immersed myself in ordinary chores, seeking any diversion from the looming dialogue ahead. I took care of Duke, tended to the plants, and even shifted some furniture around, all the while my imagination spun tales of what could be. At last, the unmistakable sound of Benjamin's key turning in the lock sent a thrill racing through me, as if my heart had taken flight. He stepped inside, his expression a mystery, his gaze deliberately averted from mine. In that moment, silence enveloped us, heavy with the mysteries that lingered just beyond our reach. Once upon a time, he spoke, his voice soft and tinged with uncertainty. "Shall we take a moment to gather and share our thoughts?" We transitioned to the living room, the very space where I had encountered that message. Duke trailed behind, his tail still, his expression reflecting the weight of the occasion. Benjamin sat across from me, his hands intertwined, his eyes finally locking onto mine. "I need to share something with you," he began, his voice steady, yet his eyes revealed a tempest of emotions. "I've been exploring a new connection." The word struck me with the force of a tangible impact. It felt as if the breath had been stolen from my lungs. Even with my doubts, the moment it was confirmed felt like a sharp blade turning in my chest. Duke let out a soft whimper, as though he sensed the rift within our family. "It's not what you believe," Benjamin pressed on, his voice now laced with urgency. "It's not a relationship in the conventional way. I've been having conversations with a therapist, a person named Lauren. Elle represents Lauren. The unfolding of events brought a blend of ease and uncertainty. Not a secret romance, but what's with the hidden details? What is the purpose behind these secretive gatherings?" "I've been facing some challenges, Katie," he admitted, "through our experiences, through our journey through it all. I didn't want to weigh you down with my troubles. Lauren has been guiding me as I navigate my thoughts and emotions. I wanted to share, but I feared your response." The atmosphere grew chillier, and the shadows stretched out like whispers of the past. The journey we embarked on together had taken an unexpected turn, but not in the manner I had dreaded. Yet the breach of trust lingered in the air, the silence between us thick with the burden of unasked questions and tangled feelings. But what unfolds when ease transforms into something more disquieting? As I gazed at Benjamin, I realized he was more than just my husband. He was a man wrestling with his own inner struggles. Our journey together had taken an unforeseen twist, and now we needed to discover a new melody, one that embraced the honesty and the restoration we both sought. As I toiled away, Duke's playful spirit transformed into a deeper connection. He started to nuzzle against my leg, his demeanor transforming from playful to something that left me puzzled. In a fleeting instance of vulnerability, possibly fueled by solitude or the allure of the taboo, I permitted Duke's affection to deepen. What began as a simple moment of vulnerability quickly spiraled into a wave of guilt I couldn't shake. In the stillness of the office corner, a place that had always buzzed with creativity, I found myself engulfed in the shadows of a profound treachery. In that moment, a wave of remorse crashed over me, consuming every thought. I shoved Duke aside, my heart racing wildly, thoughts swirling in my mind about the weight of what had just happened. I rose to my feet, my legs trembling beneath me, and made my way to the window, gazing out at the sprawling city below, yet perceiving nothing at all. The heaviness of my choices loomed over me, a tangible force that constricted my chest and made each breath a struggle. I glanced back at Duke, who remained still, his tail now motionless, his eyes reflecting a mix of confusion and maybe a hint of pain. I softly expressed my regret, aware that it fell short of mending the rift, not only with Benjamin but also with our beloved pet, a cherished part of our family. The remainder of the afternoon unfolded like a hazy dream. As I sat down to work, my mind wandered through a labyrinth of emotions. Guilt whispered in my ear, confusion danced around me, and fear loomed like a shadow, making it hard to concentrate. How could I have allowed this to unfold? What story did it weave about me, about our union? The inquiries kept coming, each one more incriminating than the previous. As I secured the studio for the night and made my way home, the car was enveloped in silence. The radio muted, while my thoughts danced through the vivid moments again and again. Duke lingered in the shadows, an unexpected silence enveloping him, his very being a poignant echo of my misstep. Upon returning home, I turned away from Benjamin, the weight of my guilt preventing me from meeting his eyes. Once upon a time, dinner unfolded in a hushed atmosphere where the flavors of the food seemed to vanish and the exchanges between guests felt awkward and forced. Benjamin felt a strange tension in the air, yet I found myself unable to share my thoughts with him. How do you confess something you can't fully understand yourself? That night I lay in bed, Benjamin asleep beside me, his breathing steady and calm. That night I lay in bed haunted by regret and confusion, filled with unspoken thoughts and untold tales. Duke lay on the floor, his familiar place at the foot of our bed, yet tonight an invisible divide seemed to stretch between us. The following morning, I rose with a determination to face the events that had unfolded, to seek clarity and maybe even discover a path towards self-forgiveness. I chose to reach out to a new person, a therapist, not Lauren, but someone who could guide me through this intricate web of feelings. In the heart of the kitchen, I picked up the phone while Benjamin was already immersed in his tasks. Duke sat nearby, his gaze filled with understanding, as if he held secrets of his own. The meeting was scheduled for the next day. I found myself reflecting on the reasons behind my actions, pondering what had compelled me to commit such a profound act of betrayal. The day at the studio unfolded like a series of predictable events. I found myself going through the motions of teaching, my heart disengaged, and my thoughts wandering far away. My students observed that their typical excitement waned, overshadowed by my preoccupied presence. After class, I found myself in solitude within my office, the burden of my hidden truth heavy upon my shoulders. Duke, noticing my unease, approached me, his head gently placed on my lap, his eyes reflecting deep empathy. I gently caressed his fur, murmuring vows to both myself and him, that I would find a way to set things right in some way. The therapy session unfolded with a gripping intensity. I shared my burden, my uncertainty, my dread of losing all that I cherished. The therapist absorbed every word, her expression, a careful blend of empathy and understanding. She shared tales of solitude, of the deep yearning for companionship, and how in times of fragility lines can fade away. Katie, she said, her voice soft yet resolute. The situation with Duke transcends his individual experience. It's a journey that revolves around you exploring your desires, your anxieties, and the dynamics of your relationship. It's merely a sign, not the underlying condition. Her words wrapped around me like a soothing embrace, yet they also held up a mirror revealing the hidden facets of myself that I dreaded to confront. After the session, I walked away with a task to have a heartfelt conversation with Benjamin, to share my emotions, my sense of isolation, and yes, to discuss Duke. That evening, I prepared dinner, my heart weighed down each chop of the knife, echoing the impending conversation. Benjamin arrived home, his expression brightening at the sight of the meal, oblivious to the tempest swirling inside me. We gathered together, the quiet surrounding us brimming with untold narratives. I inhaled deeply, feeling a slight tremor in my hands as I extended them across the table to make contact with his. Benjamin, there's a tale I must share with you. I began, my voice soft and hesitant. An event unfolded at the studio yesterday, one that weighs heavily on my conscience. His expression shifted, worry carving deep furrows into his brow. What's on your mind, Katie? I shared it all with him, the words spilling forth in a hurried cascade, my gaze refusing to connect with his. The hush that enveloped the room was overwhelming. Benjamin's expression was a mystery, his feelings concealed beneath a veil of astonishment. At last, he began to share, his tone hushed. I'm at a loss for words, Katie. I require a moment to reflect on this. The evening unfolded, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. I lay awake, attuned to Benjamin's ragged breaths, pondering whether this marked the start of a farewell or a difficult journey toward recovery. What path leads to healing after venturing into territory that was never meant to be explored? The realization dawned on me that the solution was woven into the challenging path of truth healing, and maybe even a delicate waltz of mending that we were both yet to learn. The consequences unfolded swiftly and with great intensity. A surge of remorse engulfed me, overwhelming my senses. My mind was consumed by a singular thought. The remainder of the day slipped by in a haze, my thoughts cycling through the event repeatedly. When Benjamin came home, I felt like a mere shadow of who I used to be, my joy transformed into a strained grin. Duke, attuned to the shift, lingered nearby, his presence a perpetual echo of my misstep. I attempted to maintain a sense of normalcy, to participate in our familiar evening rituals, yet each touch, each glance from Benjamin seemed to carry an unspoken charge. The burden of my hidden truth felt overwhelming, and the idea of revealing it was equally daunting and essential. The evening meal unfolded in quietude. The clinking of cutlery against plates filled the air, each bite of food leaving a bitter taste like ash lingering on my tongue. Benjamin, perhaps sensing the tension, attempted to bridge the silence with conversation, yet his words seemed to drift away, echoing from a far-off place. I nodded and smiled, yet deep down my heart felt distant. My thoughts drifted, grappling with the weight of my actions. Once the meal was finished, we transitioned to the cozy living room. Benjamin settled into his familiar spot on the couch, while I chose the armchair, craving the space to collect my swirling thoughts. Duke rested at my feet, his gaze tracking my movements, a blend of bewilderment and worry in his eyes. Katie, you've been silent all night, Benjamin remarked softly, his tone curious and inviting. Is all well with you? As I inhaled deeply, the atmosphere wrapped around me, dense and weighty. Benjamin, I have a tale to share with you. I began, my voice soft and hesitant. Yesterday at the studio, an event unfolded that weighs heavily on my conscience. His expression shifted, worry carving deep furrows into his brow. What's on your mind, Katie? I shared it all with him, my thoughts spilling forth in a hurried stream, my gaze avoiding his. The hush that enveloped the room was overwhelming. Benjamin's expression was a mystery, his feelings concealed beneath a veil of astonishment. At last, he began to share, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm at a loss for words, Katie. I require a moment to reflect on this." The evening unfolded, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. I lay awake, attuned to Benjamin's ragged breaths, pondering whether this marked the start of a final chapter or a difficult journey toward recovery. The following morning, an eerie stillness enveloped the house, a silence that felt almost palpable. As dawn broke, Benjamin quietly slipped out for work, a note resting on the kitchen counter, a silent witness to his departure. "I require a moment to reflect," it conveyed, the phrasing straightforward, yet heavy with meaning. Duke, picking up on the change in our home, seemed quieter than usual, his tale lacking its typical enthusiasm. As I moved through my morning routine, each action felt burdensome, like I was trudging through thick, sticky sand that slowed my every step. The studio was my refuge, yet today, it resembled a theater where I had to embody the poised dance instructor, even as my personal life fell apart behind the scenes. The lessons felt rigid and lifeless. I guided, I refined, I uplifted, yet my spirit felt distant. My students, with their keen insights, picked up on the shift. Their typical excitement was muted by my preoccupied presence. After the final class, I found myself alone in my office, burdened by the heaviness of my hidden truth. Duke, noticing my unease, approached me, his head gently resting on my lap, his eyes reflecting a deep sense of empathy. I gently caressed his hair, murmuring vows to both myself and him that I would find a way to set things straight in some way. The therapy session unfolded with a gripping intensity. I shared the weight of my guilt, the swirl of my confusion, and the deep-seated fear of losing all that I cherished. The therapist absorbed every word, her expression reflecting a deep understanding and empathy. She shared tales of solitude, of the deep-seated yearning for companionship, and how in times of fragility lines can fade away. "Katie," she said, her voice soft yet resolute, "what transpired with Duke isn't centered on him. It revolves around your journey, your desires, your anxieties, and the dynamics of your relationship. It's merely a sign and not the underlying condition." Her words wove a soothing narrative, yet also held up a mirror revealing the shadows of myself I dreaded to confront. After the session, I walked away with a task to have a heartfelt conversation with Benjamin, to share my emotions, my sense of isolation, and of course my thoughts about Duke. That evening, I prepared dinner with a weight on my chest, each chop of the knife echoing the thoughts of the conversation ahead. As Benjamin stepped through the door, his expression brightened at the sight of the meal, oblivious to the tempest swirling inside me. We gathered together, the quiet surrounding us, rich with untold tales. With a deep breath, I felt a flutter of nerves as I extended my hand across the table to connect with his. "Benjamin, there's a tale I must share with you." I began, my voice soft and hesitant. Yesterday at the studio, an event unfolded that I truly wish had never occurred. His expression shifted, worry carving deep furrows into his brow. "What's on your mind, Katie?" I shared it all with him, my thoughts spilling forth in a hurried cascade, my gaze refusing to connect with his. The hush that enveloped the room was overwhelming. Benjamin's expression was a mystery, his feelings concealed beneath the veil of astonishment. At last, he began to share, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm at a loss for words, Katie. I require a moment to reflect on this." The evening unfolded, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. I lay awake, attuned to Benjamin's uneven breathing, pondering whether this marked the start of a final chapter or a difficult journey toward recovery. What is the path to healing after venturing into territory that was never meant to be explored? The realization dawned on me, rooted in the challenging path of truth healing and maybe a delicate waltz of mending that we were both yet to learn. Will Katie muster the bravery to reveal her truth, or will the weight of her secret overwhelm her? The stillness enveloped me, heavy and palpable, as I remained seated, my heart racing, each thump resonating with the significance of the occasion. Benjamin's eyes, typically radiating warmth, were now clouded with a tempest of confusion and pain. Duke, feeling the weight of the moment, remained motionless, his head resting gently on my lap, his presence a blend of solace and bittersweet nostalgia. Katie Benjamin's voice carried a soft tremor heavy with feeling. I'm at a loss for words. I took a deep breath, the weight in my throat making it hard to find my voice. I'm truly sorry, Benjamin. It was never my intention for things to unfold this way. In that fleeting instant, I found myself faltering, making a choice that now weighs heavily on my heart. He averted his gaze, his jaw set firmly, the tension in his neck palpable. What were you thinking, Katie? With Duke, there are always tales to share? Our noble Duke? Emotions surged within me, not solely for the treachery that had tainted our union, but for the purity of Duke, ensnared in the tumult of human feelings. I'm uncertain. I confess, my voice trembling. In a moment of solitude, I found myself adrift, and it was then that I stumbled into a grave error. I have sought guidance, delving into the reasons behind my actions, yet no explanation can truly make sense of it all. Benjamin rose suddenly, moving restlessly around the room, his fingers tangled in his hair. I've faced my own challenges as well, Katie. Through our experiences, through our journey through it all. What I believe to be Lauren's support in navigating my challenges has now taken a turn, and this revelation alters everything. I understand, I replied, my voice soft and hesitant, and I'm not seeking absolution just yet. I felt it was important to share this with you to prevent any unspoken tension from growing between us. He halted his restless movements, pivoting to look at me with eyes that appeared to delve deep into my very essence. Do you care for me? Katie, are you still invested in this union? The question struck me with the force of a sudden impact. Indeed, Benjamin, my affection for you runs deep. Above all else, my deepest desire is to mend this, to uncover a path that leads us back to each other. However, I completely get it if you require some time or a little distance. He nodded slowly, his eyes drifting down to Duke, who glanced back and forth between us, his tail wagging cautiously. And what tales can we share about Duke? What steps should we take next with him? As I lowered my hand, I caressed Duke's soft fur, savoring the comforting warmth radiating from his body beneath my fingertips. Duke finds himself wrongfully caught in the midst of it all. He's part of our story, Benjamin. We must make certain that he remains untouched by our troubles. We must embrace him with warmth, steering clear of uncertainty or accusations. Benjamin let out a deep sigh, a sound filled with the burden of our circumstances. I require some time to reflect, Katie. I must explore my emotions and desires. This goes beyond mere forgiveness. It's a journey of faith, a path of comprehension. I understand, I murmured, as the truth of the matter began to unfold. Feel free to take as long as you wish. I'll be here focusing on my journey, on our journey, if you choose to embrace the possibility of us together. He approached the door, hesitating, as his fingers rested on the knob. Tonight, I'll find myself resting in a hotel where the walls might whisper tales of travelers past. I'm looking for a little room to breathe. The door clicked shut, and I was left alone in the stillness of our abode, where the silence felt like a thunderous echo. Duke gazed at me, his eyes brimming with unspoken inquiries that eluded my response. I drew him near, his warmth, a gentle solace in the expansive solitude of the room. The night unfolded, every tick of the clock echoing the moments gone by, a testament to the life we had woven together, now teetering on the edge. I found myself in our bed solitude wrapping around me, the chill of the empty space beside me echoing the emptiness within my heart. As dawn broke, casting a soft light through the curtains, I sensed that the path ahead would be filled with challenges accompanied by moments of uncertainty and sorrow. Yet deep inside, a conviction was taking shape, a commitment to confront the repercussions of my choices, to pursue atonement, not solely for my own sake, but for our union, for Duke, for the future we had dreamed of sharing. The question lingered, casting a shadow over our future. What would be the outcome of Katie's revelation? Could this mark our conclusion, or perhaps the start of a challenging yet optimistic journey towards mending our bond. The resolution awaited us in the unfolding days, in the decisions we would embrace, in the intricate journey of reconciliation and recovery we were yet to navigate. The stillness that enveloped the room after I spoke was overwhelming. Benjamin rose from his seat, the chair's legs grating against the floor, a noise that resonated through the delicate fabric of our existence. As he stepped out of the room, I was left with Duke, who gazed up at me with those pure, unsuspecting eyes. The following days unfolded like a whirlwind of conversations, emotions, and healing moments. Benjamin, despite the pain, decided to remain his affection for me, waging a silent war against the sense of betrayal that lingered in his heart. We chose to embark on a journey for support both on our own and together as partners. The path was arduous, marked by shadows of uncertainty and struggle, yet illuminated by strides toward compassion and insight. Duke continued to weave himself into the fabric of our lives, his presence a testament to the intricate path we had traveled together. The initial therapy session felt akin to stepping into a tempest. Dr. Ellis, the therapist, exuded a serene presence that stood in stark contrast to the chaos swirling within me. Benjamin sat beside me, his posture tense, his gaze drifting away from mine. "Katie, Benjamin," Dr. Ellis, began, her voice a gentle melody weaving through the air with a comforting strength. "We're here to journey through this experience side by side. Let's begin by exploring the emotions that each of you is experiencing." As I inhaled deeply, I felt the burden of my choices bearing heavily upon my shoulders. Shame washes over me, a confession slipping through my lips, my voice barely rising above a whisper. I've made mistakes that ripple beyond just Benjamin and me, leaving Benjamin's trust in tatters and causing Duke pain that runs deeper than I can comprehend. I'm finding it difficult to let go of my own mistakes. At last, Benjamin's eyes locked onto mine, revealing a swirling blend of anguish and uncertainty. Frustration bubbled within him, his voice trembling as he spoke. "I'm feeling pain, and there's a sense of fear within me. I'm not sure I can put my faith in you once more, Katie. And Duke, he may just be a dog, but he holds a special place in our hearts as a beloved member of our family. How do we even start to share this with him?" Dr. Ellis nodded, her expression reflecting a deep comprehension. "Duke may not grasp the intricacies of human feelings, yet he certainly senses the mood and the shifts in your bond. His actions could reveal the unease he perceives." The sessions unfolded, revealing the intricate tapestry of our relationship, unearthing vulnerabilities and past grievances along the way. Benjamin shared his experience of feeling alone at work, expressing concern that my dedication to dance was pulling us apart. I opened up about my solitude, the sense of being an afterthought to his ambitions, and how that solitude influenced my choices. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Benjamin and I sat in our living room, the air thick with the weight of our shared revelations. Duke rested at our feet, his head swaying gently from one side to the other, as if he were piecing together the unfolding narrative around him. "I've been reflecting," Benjamin began, his voice wavering on your words, "about the sensation of solitude. I was unaware of the impact my work had on our lives. I understand, Katie. My apologies." I extended my hand, a slight tremor coursing through me as it met his. "And I regret not recognizing your challenges for not being present when you required my support. We both stumbled along the way, Benjamin, but I hope to mend things if you'll allow me the chance." He gazed at me, a gentle warmth spreading in his eyes. "I'm eager to give it a go, Katie, but it's going to require some patience. It's essential that we come together to create something new, not only for ourselves, but also for Duke's sake. He is worthy of a secure and nurturing environment." As time passed, the weeks unfolded, and gradually we found ourselves moving to a fresh melody. It wasn't the joyful twirl of our beginnings, but a measured, thoughtful movement, every step approached with intention. We embraced fresh traditions in our lives, such as weekly date nights, where we set aside our daily concerns, dedicating our time entirely to one another. Duke, always the steadfast friend, appeared to feel the change in the air. His tail danced with joy, and his cheerful barks echoed, marking a joyful return to a familiar rhythm of life. We embraced him in our journey of recovery, sharing long walks, engaging in playful games of fetch at the park, and surrounding him with the love and stability he truly deserved. On a sunny Sunday afternoon, while we relaxed in the park and observed Duke joyfully pursuing a frisbee, Benjamin glanced over at me. I had been sharing my thoughts with Lauren, my therapist, regarding our situation. She proposed that we embark on a journey together, a retreat designed to rekindle the spark between us. The concept was intimidating, yet filled with promise. I'd like that, I remarked, sensing a spark of hope. Perhaps this is the path that will lead us back to one another. In a tranquil mountain lodge, nestled away from the hustle and bustle of the city, the retreat unfolded its magic. The setting invited deep reflection and a sense of coming back together. We engaged in workshops that explored communication, trust-building activities, and even dance therapy, creating a beautiful journey back to our origins. As we glided through the steps of a slow waltz, Benjamin leaned in and whispered, "This file exceeds a duration of 30 minutes.